Hello everyone. Welcome back to Cyberplane. And in this video, I'll be guiding you guys on how to install Kali Linux on our various system. Before I start the installation, I would like us to go to check through the requirements we'll be needing for us to install this Kali Linux on our various system. The first thing you have to do is just go to your search and search for your task manager, and then go to your performance. Then at your performance, you go check your CPU and check if your system supports virtualization here. And if your system supports virtualization, you are eligible to install Kali Linux on that particular system. But if the virtualization is not capable, just know that that particular system will be unable to run Kali Linux using a virtual machine, in which I'll be showing you in this video. And in some cases, you might find that your virtualization is disabled. Your virtualization might be disabled. You can enable it at your BIOS setting. You can go to your BIOS setting when you are booting up your system. You can just go to your BIOS setting and then enable your virtualization. And the next requirement we'll be checking is the memory. At least you must have a 4 gig memory before you can install Kali Linux on your system using any virtual machine. And then your hard disk, at least you should have hard disk of at least 250 gig for you to install Kali Linux on your system using virtual machine. And next thing is how we show us the virtual machine application that I will be using. And in this video, I'll be using VMware to install my Kali Linux. Then you go to the official website of the VMware, which is the VMware.com, and you download it. I already download my VMware application, so I don't need to download it. But for you guys, you have to download your VMware application. Then after you download your VMware application, you install it. After the installation, you go to the official Kali Linux website. Then at the official Kali Linux website, you go there to download the ISO image in which you will be using to install the Kali Linux, the Kali on the virtual machine. And just go to the official website of Kali Linux at www.kali.org, and then you navigate down. You navigate down here, and you see if your system is 32 bits, you just have to download the ISO image for the 32 bits, and if your system is 64 bits, you just download the 64 bits. But my system here is 64 bits, so I will have to download the 64 bit. Then you go to the complete offline installation with customization, which just click on this download, and it will show you to download the ISO image. Once you have the application and the ISO image, install the VMware application and get your ISO image also ready. So in the next video, I will be showing you how to install this ISO image in this virtual machine, which I'll be using VMware to run it. Alright, thank you very much. Hello everyone, welcome back to Cyberplane, and welcome back to the next video in guiding on how to install Kali Linux on our various system. After we've successfully downloaded our virtual machine, which I will be using VMware, after successfully downloading our VMware, and we already download our ISO image, the next thing is to install the VMware and then install our Kali Linux on that particular our virtual machine, which is the VMware. So after installing your VMware, you open it. When you open the application, this is the first interface you will see. Then at this interface, you just have to do what? To create a new virtual machine, because you are just creating anyway. You don't have an existing virtual machine which you will open. Just create a new virtual machine. Then after you create a new virtual machine, you will see a dialog box here. Just go to the custom for you to customize everything you are doing. Yeah, just next. Then here you just click on this installer disks because we are using our ISO image. Just click and then you browse it because I already have it here. That's why it's showing me. But if it is you, it will ask you to show you how to navigate to the folder you downloaded the ISO image. Just go to the folder you downloaded the ISO image and click on it. Then you open it. Then after you open it, you next again. Then the other time I told you guys that virtual machine enable us to have multiple operating system on our system. So you can have like a Microsoft window, you can have VMware, yes, and you can have other operating system like Ubuntu and others. So now because I'm using Linux, I will just leave it on Linux. I'm not installing Windows, so I'll just leave it on Linux. Then the version, that the version of the machine that I'm using is Debian 10.0 64-bit, and if it is 32-bit, just go click on it and find your 32-bit. But just note that we are using Debian. Just click on 64-bit if you are using a 64-bit system, and if it is a 32-bit, just click on 32-bit, and then you next again. Then your virtual machine name, you can name it anything, but here I'm naming it Anonymous. Yeah, I'm naming it Anonymous, and then you next again. You go back. Let me show you something. Let me tell you something here. You see, the location that it will be saving your virtual machine on your system will be documents virtual machine. You can see, just go to your document, you find your virtual machine there. So you next again, just leave the processor 1, and then you go and you give your Kali Linux. If you are using a system of 4 gig, just allocate 2 gig for your Kali Linux. And if you are using a system of like 8 gig, just allocate like 6 or 4 gig to your Kali Linux. But if you are using 4 gig, just allocate 2 gig to your Kali Linux, and then you next. And you should use a network address translation because it allows you to be having same network with your normal OS and then the pre-installed OS and then the virtual machine. Once your pre-installed OS has connected to a network, it allows you to be browsing with it allows you to use that particular network on your virtual machine too. So just use NAT, which is the network address translation, and then you click on next, and then here you just create a new disk because you are not using an existing, you are creating a new. Just create a new virtual disk. Then now it's asking the space you want to allocate for your virtual machine. Well, initially it will give you like 20. You can allocate as much as you can depending on the size of your hard disk. If your hard disk is 250, you can allocate 100 gig to your Kali Linux. You can allocate 1 gig, you can allocate 10 gig, anything, any gig you want, any memory space you want, you can allocate it to your virtual machine. But here let me use the 20, and you see the name and then the extension of the file. Just click next, so you can see. But here you can just come here to customize the hardware before you go. Then yeah, everything is done. You can see your RAM, which is the 2 gig. You can see the processor 1. You can see the network adapter, which is the NAT. You can see the USB. You can see that USB is there. USB also, and then the sound card, and everything is set. Then you finished. So you see something like this. But before you power on this machine, you can just go to this edit virtual machine setting. At the edit virtual machine setting, go to your option and go to your advanced here. Then at the advanced, change from BIOS, the firmware type, change from BIOS to UEFI. Then you can now go ahead to power on this virtual machine. And just click on the graphical install. Just press enter. Remember, click on the graphical install. Then it's asking for the language. Just use English depending on your language. This English. Then your country you can search for, because Nigeria is there. Then your keyboard. So you just use American English. Then it's detecting the hardware, and here you have to be a little patient because it will be loading and loading. You are installing an operating system. It's required is to install some application before it can get started. You have to exercise some patience at this level. Okay, it's loading additional components. It's detecting the hardware. And it's asking for the host name. You can leave the host name to be Kali. And then the domain name, you can choose any name you want, and you can leave it blank, and you can see the domain name is part of your internet address. To the right of your host name is option, something that ends with .com, .ng, .edu. The setting. If you are setting up a home network, you can make something up, or if you want to use the same domain name on all your computers, you can just say .kali, anything. Then the full name for the new user. So now you are creating up your user, and at this junction, just make sure you know the name you use for your user. Like now I'm using Anonymous. So you can write this down somewhere, Anonymous, and you can see you already changed username for you. You can choose your username. You can choose your full name. Okay, full name to be Anonymous, and then you can use your username. You can choose any username. Just make sure you know your username, and then the full name. But make sure you know your username, because you'll be using your username will be acquired when you want to log into your Kali Linux. So then you see now my username is Anonymous. You can just write it somewhere, maybe anything. You can use your name, you can use anything. Okay, I'll write Anonymous somewhere, and then the password. Okay, let me just choose any password. Just make sure you know the password, because your username and the password will be acquired when you want to log into your Kali Linux. That's why I said you can write it somewhere so you cannot easily forget it. So I already choose the password, and then continue, and it's setting up the clock. Like I told you, you have to be a little bit patient at this junction. And then the partition disks. If you want to partition your disks, when you are installing your operating system on our Windows, on our normal system, you can partition your hard disks into segment by segment. But Here, I'll just advise you to use the entire disk. There's no need of partition here because you are using a virtual machine, not on your. And if you like, you can use entire disk and set up encrypted, and you can use the entire disk and set up this thing, and you can set it manually. So, but here I will advise you to use the entire disk, like the entire 20 gig you allocate for disk and Linux. So you can see 21.5 gig. Okay, even select allocate 21.5 gig for the system. So all file in one partition, you just have it in one partition. There's no need of having it in separate one partition or separate, just have it in one partition and just continue. Yes, and partition disks. Now it's installing the base system. If you are installing this Kali Linux, make sure you have a reliable power supply or you have enough charge on your system because it requires a lot of time. At least make sure you have a backup time of like at least 1 hour 30 minutes, of at least 1 hour 30 minutes, and even at most 1 hour 30 minutes. It's good. I think 1 hour 30 minutes will be enough for you to install the Kali Linux on this virtual machine. And here is asking for your HTTP proxy. Just continue, ignore that. And it's asking for a mirror country. You can just click on continue and continue. Still asking for the HTTP. Just go. Still giving me this error. Then click on this go back and then continue without a network mirror. Yes, just continue without a network mirror and at this junction we are ready come to the last stage of the installation. Just click on the Kali desktop environment, install tools by purpose, then you continue. And at this junction, it will take you at least like 20 to 30 minutes before it selects and installs software. Here it is installing all the application that comes along with the ISO image individually, so it will take a lot of time. And after this stage, it will just show you the next screen you'll be seeing is just for you to put your username that I told you to write somewhere and the password. Then after you put your username and the password, just you've successfully installed Kali Linux on your system. You can come anytime to just log in and start hacking. Thank you very much. Alright, welcome back. After I waited for about like 20 to 30 minutes for it to select and install the software. So this is the next interface. It will show you like it has finished the installation. You can see installation is complete, so it is time to boot into your new system. So just click on the continue. You can see it's now finishing the installation. So you can see it's restarting the system. So now you can now have your you have successfully installed your Kali Linux. So it's booting up. Yeah, that's come up. Okay, yeah, you successfully install your Kali Linux. And you remember during the installation process, I told you guys that you should note your username and your password. So, you know, the other time I used anonymous as the username. So I will just type the anonymous as the username, then the password. The password I used to save it. So you can see it has authenticated me and I am successfully logged into my Kali Linux. You can see the interface is coming up. You can see my Kali Linux is coming up now. Successfully install my Kali Linux. You can just see if you press on this home button, you can see I have successfully with the pre-installed tools. These are the software that's the tools that come along with Kali Linux. You can see information gathering, vulnerability analysis, and so many things. So now you've successfully installed your Kali Linux. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social medias handle like our Twitter, Facebook, and don't forget to comment if you have any issue regarding the installation process. Alright, thank you very much as I see you in the next video where I'll be guiding you guys again on the things you need to like install, like some processes you need after you successfully install your Kali Linux. Till then, see you. Thank you.